right, so if you have student loans, then this is probably the video that you want to watch because I've gotten so many requests about student loans lately and getting rid of them from a credit report. So that is why we're going over this entire mini course. And yes, not just the parts of it, but the actual entire course, okay? So that is what I'm giving you tonight. We are going over this and it starts now. So here's the deal. Student loans can literally be the difference between getting a mortgage, credit card, vehicle, blah, 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 and having to settle for waiting and wanting, right? And what's worse is that you're usually dealing with federal student loans, right? We have U.S. Department of Education, we have Sallie Mae, we have Nelnet, Navient, all those, and they are extremely difficult. And guess what? They are even more difficult than private loans and regular charge-offs. And this normally means waiting longer, and a lot of consumers don't even get them removed. Like, seriously, if you don't do it the right way, they are most definitely not going anywhere. So in this mini course, we are going to cover how to correct the late payments on the student loans to update the account to reflect 0 late payments. Yep, you heard me. Update it like it's freaking magic. How to remove the entire student loan account by disputing the late payment history. The reason why student loan accounts virtually always report late payments beginning at 90 days and why this is something you can dispute. We're also going to go over an example student loan account, dispute reasons for updating and for removing, how to handle student loan collections, as I've already mentioned, U.S. Department of Education, and what to do when the bureaus verify the accounts as accurate. And this part is very, 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 very important. All right, so let's get to it. So I'm going to go to the next page, and before we get started, you can look at the top of your screen for a link if you want me to do this for you, because yes, there's a ton involved in this. And again, if you don't do it the right way, you are not going to get them removed. Okay. So you would very simply go to my740.com. There's a bunch of other links down in the description, but we're not going to talk about this right now because the first thing I want you to do is smash that like and let me know, as well as Google to let other people know that you like this video so that it can grow and go and everyone else can see it. Okay. So anyways, let's get to this. This part is a little bit of a flashcard type scenario, okay? So we're going to use these cards to learn how to determine whether to update or remove the account, okay? So here's the scenario. The account is paid and is older than all other accounts. This is what we're going to do. We're going to leave the account. Why? You do not want to change scorecards. If you don't know what that is, I might have another video about it, and if not, I'll make one. And you also do not want to change the total length of credit history as well as your average length, right? So to leave this account and try to clean it up, dispute the oldest late payment that you can see in an attempt to get them to remove the late payment history for failure to legally verify. All right, so number 2, the account is unpaid and the oldest account on the credit file. So this is what we're going to do. Because the account is unpaid, normally you would remove it. However, because it's the oldest account on the credit file, you will need to decide if removing it will jeopardize the credit score by removing it, okay? If you decide to dispute it for removal, my recommendation would be, again, to go after the late payment history. You can do this by attacking the first date of delinquency. Now, as I mentioned, they normally do 90-day late payments. So if there's no 30 or 60-day lates prior to that, then your reason is actually going to be for removal. It would be delete this account because there's obviously no 30 or 60-day late payments. You can't just report me on time 90. Or to update it, you're going to say update this because for the same reason. Other regular charge-off reasons, such as date last active, date last paid, etc., going down the high impact hierarchy. And if you decide to leave the account and dispute the late payment history to clean it up, and yes, I do see a typo, CLERN, dispute the late payment history as inaccurate or inconsistent between the 3 bureaus with proof on the credit report, if this is true, in an attempt to clean up some of the late payments. And yes, it's like magic, okay? The account shows 90-day late payments without 30 or 60 days late and are less than 6 or 7 sets of consecutive late payments, and there are positive payments after the lates. Account is not currently late. What we're going to do is you can normally dispute this for update or correction, right? You'll see this in the video later on. And yes, I am actually going to pause this, include that video, and then end this video, okay? So to do this, you're going to dispute the 90-day lates as inaccurate because there shouldn't be 30 or 60-day late prior to the 90-day late payments, right? And for consecutive lates, choose one of the lates, preferably the oldest, and ask for the late payment history to be removed for inaccuracy. Now, you may alternately choose to go after each late payment separately to increase the chance of correction. All right. So the next one, the account ends in late payment. There's no on-time payments after the lates, and or the account has been sent to collections and or has been transferred or sold to a collection agency for the unpaid balance, right? So you're actually going to have to remove this. There is no way to update an account that ends in late payments because the status 120 days late, 90 days late, charge off, transferred or sold, etc. will not change regardless of the late payment history. And you can do this in a few ways. Dispute the late payments as mentioned before, but ask for deletion for inaccuracy instead of correction. Or you could treat it as a charge off and go after the date last active, the date last paid, so on and so forth. All right, so card number 5, the account is unpaid and is not older than the other accounts and reports 6+ late payments, like, I don't know, 90 to 180 days late. Obviously, we're going to have to remove this. So it's more than likely the best option to delete this account because the payment history on the account will not change and more than likely will not result in a credit score increase. But having said that, you also need to look at your numbers. You need to look at your amount of history. You need to look at everything because so many people just dispute whatever because the account is negative, and you don't want to do that. You need to know exactly what you're doing or else you're going to screw up your credit and your score. Okay, so the account was paid and is not older than the other accounts and reports 6+ late payments, or the status is harmful, right? We are going to remove the account. More than likely, not going to decrease the credit score. The account's charged off, sold, or transferred due to unpaid balance, currently late without any plan to pay, etc. Delete it. Go after lates as described earlier, charge off reasons, date last active, date last paid, notice of dispute, payment history, etc. And unfortunately, again, there's no way to correct this without paying. The account reports a handful of 30 to 60 day late payments and does not end in late payments. What do you think? Okay, well, if you guessed it, we are going to try to correct this by forcing them to verify the lates. And you can do this by first asking for correction of the inaccurate lates because you were not late on those dates. I don't care if you were or you were not. It all comes down to inaccurate reporting. This works because the only way to legally verify late payments is for the bank to furnish their bank copies, bank statement copies. They won't do that. If that does not work, you can also challenge for failure to investigate because they would otherwise be able to furnish documentation, obviously. And you can dispute the oldest lates to make it harder for them to verify. You can go after each notice of dispute if they fail to mark the account as disputed within 30 days. And you want to check to see if all 3 bureaus report the same info. All right, so we're going to go on. So you may be wondering why these accounts report 90-day late payments without prior 30 or 60-day lates. Some even report 120-day late without prior late payment. So the reason you'll find is because some of these creditors, specifically Navient, do not report the consumer as late until they're 90 days late. So if you look at this logically, it means the payment history is inaccurate, right? The payment history is not accurate. If it's okay, 90. Obviously, it's missing 30 and 60. The payment history is not accurate if it's okay, 120 days late. It's missing 30 through 120 days late. The payment history should report okay, 30, 60, 90. One way to look at this is if the account is reported as okay, 90, it means that the 2 okay payments are inaccurate. And you can use this to update the account to reflect okay, as in on time. I have only encountered 2 times in 7 years where the bureaus updated the account to reflect the true late payments. Now, look at this logically. Just because you do not report the consumer as late until 90 days, it does not mean it's accurate per FCRA regulations of reporting. And for that reason, the payment history should be updated to reflect 0 late payments. Now, here are a couple of dispute reasons. To update, remove the 90-day late payment on date for inaccuracy because there are no prior 30 or 60-day late payments. Another one for updating, remove the late payment history for inaccuracy on dates because I paid on time. And then we have 4 for removal. Delete this account because the late payment on date shows 90 days late without 30 or 60 late payments. I was not late on date. Delete this account for inaccuracy. Delete this account because all three bureaus report different payment history dates between date to date. And delete the account for violation because the notice of dispute was not entered within the required 30-day time frame. All right. They are required pursuant to section 623 to enter the required notice of dispute. And if not, it is a violation. And you would find this in the comment section. So treat as a charge-off. You can treat the collection as a charge-off. And this means we'll want to dispute using the pyramid method and go after date less active, date less paid, payment history, notice of dispute, activity after the close date, etc. So for disputing late payments, you can dispute the date of first delinquency, activity after the close date or after the account was charged off, inconsistent late payments between three credit bureaus, and go after violations, notice of dispute, failure to report accurate late payment history after notification of inaccuracy, activity after the account was closed. And this is the video that I am going to put inside of this one more towards the end though. Okay. So it's 2 minutes and 53 seconds and you're definitely going to want to watch this. All right. So let's skip past this for right now. And we're going to go to this part. So what do you do when the bureaus verify the accounts as accurate? So many consumers just give up instead of trekking on and using a new dispute reason, which is exactly what you're supposed to. Use the new dispute reason, not give up. You need to understand that the bureaus are there to stop you from disputing by frustrating you, stalling you, scaring you, and by using their number one method, which also just happens to be free, which is ignoring you. Your accounts are going to be verified as accurate until they are removed. And if you don't understand this part, then you're probably not going to get them removed. This means when they tell you they didn't understand the nature of your dispute, you didn't submit identification that was clearly submitted with the dispute letter, when they tell you they will not reinvestigate without new and relevant information, there's only one thing for you to do. Find the next best dispute reason using the pyramid method, going down the hierarchy, and send in a new dispute. While this sounds simple, trust and believe it's not, and so many consumers fall victim to this. As long as you're using factual disputes and submit one reason per account per letter and maintain being patient, use the right reasons and inaccuracies and violations, you'll remove or correct the account if it is possible to remove it. Because remember, I say if because some accounts just can't come off and there's no way to force them to do anything. Even if you take them to court, you have to win to force them, obviously. All you can do is use what you have available to you and at your disposal to achieve the best results possible, right? So writing a dispute letter does not have to be difficult, but it does need to include the required information to ensure you actually get an investigation that results in a correction or deletion, right? And keep in mind that the bureaus have one job. Again, reject, deny, frustrate. So when you're disputing very difficult accounts like student loans, remember that there will be multiple rounds of disputes. There's no shortcut to getting permanent results. So I am going to consider giving you the link to this so that you can watch the video instead of actually putting it in with this video, as well as the link to this. I may or may not include this because this is actually a paid product that I have. But you're going to, of course, have your personal information in the header, right? You're going to have the date, the bureaus. Your first paragraph does need to answer the reason why you're sending the letter, what you want them to do, and optionally ask for a new report, okay? So the opening paragraph, you want to include all of this. It has to all be in there. If it's relevant, you can include your previous attempts, like, I'm not sure how you verified last month, but ... And the key to removing your accounts has nothing to do with the text body and everything to do with the dispute reasons listed on the account, all right? So, for example, Navient account number 2009120654003803. The late payment history shows a 90-day late payment, but no 30 or 60-day late payment exists prior to that. Please remove this account, this inaccurate late payment of 90 days on 8/2018 for inaccuracy. Okay. And then, thank you for your attention and your name. You do want to include your ID, your SSN card, and your proof of address. In case you didn't know, I have a very specific formula that I use for my dispute reasons, regardless of whether it's for a student loan, whether it's for a collection, a late payment, whatever. So this is how you write disputed account section: creditor name and account number, like capital 1, account number 517805. And then dispute formula is action, justifier, element, reason, outcome. So action is like delete or remove or correct or update what you're disputing, like the date last active, the reason why you're disputing it, such as 3 different dates on each bureau, the justifier because, and optionally for a late payment, like an outcome, like update the account to paid as agreed, never late. When you put it all together, it's actually really, really simple. Delete this account because the date last active shows 3 different dates on each bureau. Correct the late payments on this account because I was not 90 days late on 2/2018, and update to paid, never late for an accuracy. And then again, remember to include your identification. Okay, so now it's quiz time. What's the best way to dispute a private, unpaid, charged off student loan? And hint, you are disputing for removal. So is it number 1, dispute their lack of a contract? There's no way in hell they'll be able to furnish it. Number 2, dispute the balance. I mean, it's charged off. There should not be a balance on a charge off. Or is it number 3? And I do want you to put your answer down in the comments. Check for blatant inaccuracies. 2, if none exist, go down the hierarchy for charge offs. A, check the date last active. Are there different dates, months and years? Dispute this as inaccurate and ask for deletion. B, if the dates are the same or virtually the same, check the date last paid and follow the same procedure. 3, the dates are the same or virtually the same, check the payment history. A, are there late payments or any activity, even CO, such as charge off in the late payment history after the account was charged off? Unless it is an actual payment, there should not be any activity after the account was closed. If so, dispute the inaccuracy for deletion. B, if not, find the oldest late payment and dispute it as inaccurate and ask for deletion. Obviously, it's the third one, right? Okay. And yes, this is correct. You want to treat the account as a charge off and follow the hierarchy and pyramid method when dealing with private student loans. Okay, so your goal is to remove a federal student loan. The loan reflects 90 to 180 day late payments in multiple sections of the payment history going back 5 years. The account has a balance of $80,000. High balance is $52,426. Past due is 0, 63,422, and 62,100. What is the best dispute flow for this account, assuming the account information does not change? Is it number 1, the best way to remove federal student loans is to dispute the lack of contract? 2, payment history, late payment should not start at 90 days. 2, past due, reported inconsistently. 3, go down the hierarchy, date less active, etc. Or is it 3, high balance is less than the current balance of $80,000. 2, past due is 3 different figures. 3, late payment history is missing 30 and 60 day late payments. Now, technically, we could possibly go with 2, but we're actually going to go with 3. So the high balance is lower than the current balance of $80,000. High balance is the highest balance that account ever had. Next, there are 3 different figures for the past due. These are blatant inaccuracies and are always disputed first. Okay, so we're going to drag the words into the correct boxes. The best method to update late payments to reflect 0 late when the late payments begin at 90 days and the account does not end in late payments and there are less than 6 late is to dispute the blank. Blank are notorious for reporting late payments inaccurately and normally do not list the consumer as late until the 3rd month. It is advisable to dispute the blank as inaccurate as I was not late on date to increase chances of removing the late payments. It is not advisable to dispute more than blank for correction because the likelihood of correction is slim. Instead, you'll need to determine if deleting the account will be best or if leaving it on the credit report because of its age would be best. So let's go fill this in. We're going to say Navient and Nelnet for this one. And when the late payments begin at 90 days and the account does not end in late payments and there are less than 6, so we're going to go with oldest late payment. Dispute the blank as inaccurate. Actually, I think it's this way first. Then we're going to do 6 plus late payments down here and missing 30 and 60 days up here. There we go. Okay. So let's go to the last part, and this is very simply where if you need help, these are the contacts, and I'm going to figure out if I can stick the other video at the end of this, and if I can, I will, and if I can't, I apologize. But I already gave you all of the information directly from my paid student loan mini course. All right, so if you need to remove these accounts on your credit report, it's really, 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 really simple. You need to dispute them correctly. You need to be patient. You need to use factual disputes. You need to use a credit sweep. You cannot use templates. Don't dispute online. Don't make phone disputes, and don't use identity theft, right? That was a lot of don'ts, but the do to this is do it the right way. If you need help doing that, go to my740.com. All right, I'm going to see if I can stick that other video on here, and if I can, like I said, I will, and if I can't... You want to remove a student loan, all you have to do is look at the payment history. So it doesn't matter if it's Department of Education, if it's Nelnet, Navient, whatever. If you look at the payment history, you're going to more than likely see this. So let's look at these two accounts right here. Payment history on this one is going to very simply show you August 2019 at 90 days late. As you can see, there are no prior 30 or 60-day late payments. So, hello, how is that possible? It's not possible. And no, it doesn't matter that they only report you as late when you are 90 days late. The FCRA basically states that late payments must begin at 30, then 60, then 90, then 120, then 180, then charge off. Okay, so when you use very simple, common sense, logic, whatever word or phrase you want to throw in there, you're obviously going to see that this just does not make any sense. And on top of that, the fact that December 2019 shows okay, 90 days late. January 20 shows 90, 120. And then February 20 shows 120, okay. So on this account, you can use these errors to actually update the account, get them to remove the late payments, and it'll look like this person has never paid late. But if you look at the payment history on this account, and I'm looking at this top one right here, I would have to say that the only thing that you could possibly do on it is remove the entire account. Now, however, I think the open date on this one was 2008. So because of the age of this, you might actually want to leave this alone. If I were going to do anything, if it were not 2008, I would remove it. If you're going to do anything, I would probably just try to get them to correct this part right here where it's 120, 180, okay. You can use this to probably go after the late payment history. And again, late payments starting at 90 days late. So now when you are over in your credit repair software, you're going to use a dispute reason following the examples that I just gave you, that this account needs to be updated or removed so that it actually shows accurate, right? So we're going to say, update this account to show paid as agreed, never late for payment history, because there's no prior 30 or 60-day late payments before that 90-day late payment. Now, if I were going to delete it, I would say the same thing, but stop reporting this account for FCRA noncompliance due to the fact that, or because of the late payment history starting at 90 days late, or you can say because of the fact that these late payments are completely and totally inaccurate, however you want to say that. You don't have to say totally. And then give the examples of the late payments.